Hey guys, Kev here, and I have a full review to do for you. This is the Jason Grant Gripper, the Brass Brigade Gripper, the one and the only Tactical Tuesday beast, the GGB Gripper, the Gay Gripper Bros Gripper. Sorry, got that G wrong. Guys, this thing has blown me away. I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with Jason, because hopefully he watches this. I got the prototype. I thought it was cool. Then I got the 3.5-inch Bestech prototype, and I thought it was cool. I said I'd pick one up, wanted to support a brother in the community. But it wasn't necessarily for me. Like, it's a little too tactical. I'm not a tactical guy, right? The sort of just, shape of it and everything is not my personal aesthetic. I don't love the double flipper tab thing. This is not me right here. You guys all know I do love the nimble, and this is the only other really example of a knife with that I like. And it comes down to the fidget factor. Now, a lot of people say the nimble's ugly. I actually think the nimble's a good-looking knife. So that is not a factor here for me. But anyway, I'm not a brass guy, right? So I liked it. Cool knife. Really cool dude. Awesome concept. But I wasn't like, this is going to be my favorite knife. This isn't like the coolest knife, that kind of thing, right? So they came out, and he did the pre-order. And then all that stuff happened, and then they came in from Bestech. These are made by Bestech. And Jason was very, very kind enough to hook it up with number 22, because if I have a number, that's my number. I'm not really a number guy, but if I got one, that's the one. And I said, hey, dude, can I get the black handle with a satin blade by some random chance? And he was like, you know what, brother? I kind of want the gray handle with the black blade, so we can be gay gripper bros, and we'll do a little, swappy, and you can get the one you want, I get the one I want. And I was like, yeah, I'll be your gay gripper bro. So the legend was born, so to speak. Sorry. I know, I'm ridiculous. Anyway, he sent me this, and by golly George, I love it. I did the unboxing and disassembly, and again, I was kind of like, yeah, I like it, but, not going to be my favorite knife ever or anything. Then guess what happened? I carried it. I use my shit, dog. Hashtag I use mine. And, something magical happened. Me and the gay gripper bro gripper just meshed together, and our souls have connected. And I fucking love this thing. All right? This is amazing. I truly and just honestly love this thing. I do. I do wish we could get a 3.25-inch version. I know that's such a small difference, but you take a quarter off of the blade, take a quarter off of the handle. You got a 1/2 inch there. That's, to me, that's the sweet spot. Like, so here's the gripper. I'm still waiting on the Nimble W, the Warney, to come, which is 3.25. It'd be cool to compare, but I'm still waiting on that. This is about 3.1 inch, 3-inch blade, and that one is a 3.5 inch. So imagine something right in between there. And that is my sweet spot, guys. If you have seen any of the knives from Devo Knives, Colin and I's stuff, they're all like 3.25-inch blades. So this might be a bad example because of the handle size. So let's grab the Sangre. Okay. Boom. That's what I'm talking about. That's the sweet spot, baby. You get the perfect amount of handle, in my opinion, for my glove size hand. This is all me. You got no, I'm just talking about myself here. Boom. You get a good amount of blade, 3 1/4 inches. You can get into a pinch grip, good control of the blade. Just, man, you get enough blade and everything that you can get really good action on it. And I just think 3 1/4 is where it's at. This is a little too small. Now, it works on the nimble. I love the nimble. You know, I ain't talking shit. I'm just saying. It's a little small. You can't grip it back here, so you always have to choke up, in my case, right? And it's just a little small. Sometimes it's a little hard to manipulate things because you're trying to do the front flipper with the handle so damn small for my hand that, you know, it's just a little awkward, right? This is perfect for a medium and a small size hand. This is perfect for a medium, large to XL glove size hand. Then you get the 3 1/2 inch babies, right? And you can get a full grip back here, but you got a little meat left over, and then you get up into the choke up grip. You got a lot of knives sticking out. Not the end of the world. I still love it, but you get into that pinch grip, you just have a lot of blade you got to control. And in my personal life, I don't need huge ass blades. This is not huge, but I don't need this much blade to do what I do, right? And that would, you know, that shrinks the package down for carry and everything. So I just think 3 1/4 is the sweet spot, and I would fucking love a 3 1/4 inch gripper. I guess my point is that would be cool, is all I'm saying. But anyway, here's some size comparisons in case you wanted to see those. Sorry, I go on tangents. Have you guys met me before? Some knives in the size category. I don't have a lot, like here. I have the Grimsmo Knives Rask. That's a very similar size knife. It's actually smaller, which I thought the Rask was a 3.6 inch blade, but I guess it's 3.4, sorry. So the Rask is not a good example. You have the FSD. Also a Tactical Tuesday style knife. That's 3.75. I think somebody lied to us. I think the gripper's bigger than they say. That's almost the same blade length. So, hold on. Let's do some math, guys. So let's just use a ruler if we can so I don't have to touch blades. Alright, not going to happen. Alright. 0, right? Here's the handle. There's the tip. 3.87, we'll call it. 3.8, we'll call it on the FSD. Fantastic knife, by the way. Man, I want to do it so we can, I mean, because it's a flat edge, we can literally... .73 there, guys. 3.75 inches. So is it 3 1/2 inch cutting edge then? Is that what we're getting here? Nope. 3 1/4 cutting edge. So I don't know. Think we've been duped. I'm just joking. It doesn't matter, but maybe that makes sense now. Maybe it is bigger than I thought. Maybe 3 1/4 or 3 1/2 is not really what it is. It's 3.73. Huh. You know, my measuring could be off. We can, you know, somebody double check me there, but oh, fuck me running. One downside of this knife is that very, very thin tip, but I think my vinyl here just took a hit. It's fine. Anyway, I apologize for the offshoot there. I was just trying to do some size comparison. I think it's a little bigger than stated, but anyway, aesthetics. Sorry, I know. 9 minutes in. It's a good looking knife, guys. I really like the frag pattern. I love the black handle on this one. The brass collars, you know, I'm not a brass collar guy, but I get it, right? I get it. put some knife shield on here today. We'll talk about that in a second. The blade is gorgeous. I love the worn cliff. I love the jimping up here that kind of matches everything. I mean, it's very thought out in that sense, and I love that. When it's closed, I think it looks good. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of this thing. That's where we kind of left off, right? Not the biggest fan of the flipper hole thing. Fuller, it's just a lot going on. I definitely like a cleaner design, but action-wise, I do like all that, so it's kind of, this is a little bit odd. You have the drop-off right here, but then the handle extends, and then a more pronounced drop-off, which is interesting to say the least. But, it's cool. I got no big issues with it. One thing I want to note that I kind of like and don't like is that it almost has a sway back feel in a way. Like it's a straight back, obviously, but it almost feels like it wants to come up into a sway back, and a sway back is where the handle comes up, right? So it's kind of like at the end, and this almost starts to do that, but it doesn't, right? It's a straight back, where a lot of knives will have a hump, right? Let's see if I can show you. Like a lot of knives will have a sort of slow curve this way, right? Where this is straight across, or a sway back is up, right? This one's pretty neutral, but it does have a little curve going as the handle goes back. You can see the handle has a little bit of a curve to it. Let's see. There's some that, so like here's the Fanatic Edge Omen, more pronounced on this, right? You see how it kind of it comes back, it hooks down, and that's kind of natural to your hand. It kind of fits your hand in a way. But then you have knives that do the opposite. They almost curve. I don't know. Anyway, it's got a straight look, which I think is cool. But at the same time, in the hand, it can be a little bit awkward. It can feel awkward. For me, it mostly comes up when I do the reverse flick, left-handed. It feels a little bit awkward because this is kind of in the palm of my hand. Where on a lot of knives, it kind of just feels a little more natural. But I've gotten used to it, and it doesn't bother me or anything. It's just something to note. Anyway, so aesthetics are good, cool, awesome, really like them, right? And I love the gray backspacer on this one. Yeah, really cool. So, ergonomics, which we kind of just talked about. In this grip back here, super comfortable. I mean, it's a thin knife. I measured it at 0.5. It's basically the same thickness as the Nimble, and it feels really good in the hand. I enjoy it back here. And then you have a choil up here, which I love choils. Super comfortable. You do have a similar feel to the Nimble where you have this gap right here, right? So your one finger's here, and then your index finger's here, and you have that space in between. You could, some people, I guess, would choose to kind of climb up and hug that. I spread the gap like this, and I'll hold my finger like that. And what I've learned to do from the Nimble is kind of hold the choil back here. So I just press against this, and it kind of shrinks that gap down. The only negative to that is when you're cutting, you have more of a tendency to heel stuff, to catch stuff on the heel of the blade right here. Whereas if you're in the full choil, you kind of block that from happening. The material can't, it kind of gets sent into the actual blade versus getting sent into that corner, if that makes sense. But that's just sort of a mental correction you make when you're cutting. But the ergos, I think, are good. It's a little bit, angular, so to speak. It's not like super rounded or anything, but everything's knocked down. Everything feels good. I truly enjoy the ergonomics on this knife. Its biggest downside for me is just the sheer magnitude of it, the size. Magnitude's a rough term because it's not like huge. It's just big. You know what I mean? Would love a 3 1/4 inch version, like I said. So that's ergos. Cutting, I've really enjoyed the cutting, guys. Now, I've done mostly EDC tasks of my nature, which are cutting shipping labels like so, cutting into a package like so, or piercing a package and slicing open like so. I did cut down, forget what it was. It was some kind of a fruit. for my kid. I think it was a watermelon, actually. Yeah, it was a watermelon. I sliced a watermelon into a bunch of like pizza type slices, and this thing was beautiful. Went right through it, chopped through the skin or whatever that stuff is. I would expect it to do that, obviously, but I had no issues. It went right through it. Nothing got caught up. So maybe that's why I had that little bit of rust, which is something I wanted to talk about. But it has a hollow grind, but it's a short hollow grind. That's the thing, right? The blade thickness is decent. You know, it's not like super thin or anything. It's probably around 0.14. Let's zero this guy out. .155 I'm getting. So I'd say 0.15 probably on the thickness, which is, you know, tactical style knife. I think that's what he was going for. And then he wanted an aggressive hollow grind down here. And it does come to a relatively thin edge. Now, I absolutely suck at measuring behind the edge thickness, so I doubt we're going to be able to pull it off. It is why I got these, so I could actually measure that, but I am seriously doubting I will pull that off, but we can try. .22. Let's try down here. .22. So call it right around 20 thousandths, maybe. I don't know. Which for me, perfect. That's just plenty. I don't need it to be at 10 thousandths behind the edge. And it honestly feels a little bit thinner than that. So it could just be me not getting a great reading. The hollow grind's relatively deep, but you're gonna have, you know, you got this much room where it's not part of the grind. So it's just not gonna be the thinnest thing in the world. But honestly, it's way better than I expected it to be. It's really good for what I need. That hollow grind pushes the material out of the way so it doesn't really get caught in these areas. You have, again, a super, super precise and dainty tip. This thing will snap off real easy, I would assume. I was pretty worried there that I got it, chipped it, or snapped it a little bit at the end because I just flicked it into the table. And that's what you're going to get with a knife like this. That is just the case when you have a knife like the Gripper or the Brian Brown Knives Jaeger M, or the where is it? I just had it. The Maverick S from Christensen. You just have those crazy hollow grinds. You're gonna get those very thin, dainty tips. That's just how it's gonna go. So that's the trade-off. You decide that when you buy or don't buy the knife, right? So just keep that in mind. But I think the cutting's great. Carry, it's, you know, it's a large knife, right? It's not a small knife, it's a large knife. The clip is so much better than the prototype, it ain't funny. This clip works great. Yes, you have all that frag pattern under there to contend with. It would have been cool if it was just made flat, like no frag pattern under where the clip was. They were not able to do that, probably for cost reasons or whatever. But it still works great. I did not have any issues with this clip. I very much enjoyed carrying it. Goes in pocket, comes out of pocket, no problem. Really enjoy it. So carry is good. It's not super heavy, but it's not like light or anything. There are internal milling pockets on both sides. It is, you know, just big pieces of titanium and steel, so it's not going to be light, but I think it's a good weight for its size. No real issues there. All right, sounds. This is where this knife just shines brightly. Shine bright like a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond in the sky. A brass brigade gipper in the sky. I can't talk, sorry. Listen to this. I mean, Holy shit. It suns out, guns out. The D10 on this thing is beyond ridiculous. And that helps. But the acoustics, I think, because of the hollow grind, because of the milling and the frag pattern and the way everything's set up, is phenomenal. It really is. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 on the gripper. On sounds, acoustics, whatever you want to call it. Action/fidget factor. All right, so let's get into fit and finish, action, all that good stuff. This knife is dead nuts centered right down the pike. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Love it. Here's what I'll say. I have a project in the works with Bestech, waiting on prototypes. If they're of this quality, I will be beyond excited. This is fabulously made. Bestech killed it. So, you have a front flipper, which you just saw, which I think should not work as well as it does. I want to be the guy who's like, I said you should do the smaller jimping, because what I said was you should have jimping like this up to the front flipper, right? Doesn't that just make sense? But I think because of the pattern and how it looks, he wanted to keep it like that. And by golly, George, it works. I mean, I really have no issues firing this guy out with that front flipper. I don't know why. I guess it just catches that one jimp really well. But it works. Then you have a back flipper, low profile. He could have brought it up more, but didn't. And you have that jimping on there, and woo! What? Oh, my goodness. Then you have this hole, this pill-shaped hole and fuller. What? My biggest concern on the prototype was that was it the prototype or the custom? I can't remember. The hole was a little too high, I think. And when I would flick it, I would hit the frame of the handle right here, and I would catch. And it would really hinder my flick and kind of hurt, honestly. But he changed that, obviously, because I can flick the shit out of this. No problem. You do have enough there to thumb flick. Boom. No problem. Right-handed. No problem. So, what was that? Front flipper, back flipper, reverse flick, thumb flick. I got a ring finger. What? Ring finger flick? Pinky? No. Pinky flick! Index from over here? Oh. Index! So, guys, you can 8-finger this motherfucker. Like, you can go at it with this thing. Now, it's a little harder left-handed because of the detent. You got to use the hole. I find it's much easier right-handed if you want to hit that fuller. Boom, just hit that fuller and fire. Left-handed, you got to get pretty low to do it, and you can use the fuller. But essentially, because of this lock bar, it's a frame lock, right? It usually is not good for a lefty, but you get enough leverage here that, oh my God, it just adds to the detent. I mean, the detent's good no matter what, but oh my God, guys. It's so satisfying. There is zero play in this blade. On skiffs. I mean, look at this action, guys. Just watch. Look at my thumb, okay? This knife is responsible. I mean, I don't know what else you want. Now, you could be a smart person and not get your thumb in there. Just kind of click and get out of the way. You will hear a little bit of grit, something right here. I think it's still working a path into that satin. Maybe just takes a while. I have put some KPL heavy on there. But you know what? It doesn't bother me, honestly. I have no issue with that. I just ride right through it. I'm sure it's going to break in over time. And it doesn't, like, feel gritty where it, like, stops, really. Like, yeah, it's not a full guillotine, but honestly, I don't want this thing to be a full guillotine. I like knives that hit my nail, and then from there, it's kind of a smooth shake. That's fine for me. Not every knife has to guillotine shut. Like, I like guillotines, but here's the Jaeger. Similar drops, but a little bit more required after the drop. Swings down, shake. Swings down, smooth shake. Here's another Jaeger I have. Swing down, shake. Like, it's just kind of the way it is. Here's a Maverick S. Swing down, shake. You know, the list goes on. The Nimble, good comparison. This one's super smooth. I mean, it is essentially a guillotine. So it has that feel, and it's wonderful, guys. So final thoughts and things to talk about. Rust. So I did rust this knife. I got a few little spots inside this fuller. And why is that, you might ask? Well, it's bead blasted. My enemy on this planet is the bead blast. I don't know what it is. M390 and bead blast do not like me. They rust all the time. It's literally the reason why when I sold a Nimble, I sold my OG Nimble and kept this. The other reason was this was a gift from John Rusk, and this is a prototype, so it felt right to keep this one. But this is all bead blasted on the satin Nimbles, and I had so many issues with the first Nimble I had rusting in that area. I had to clean it out with flits so many times. And I think it is a me thing, where I live and the humidity levels and my ass juice sweat. But it's one of the reasons I kept this specific Nimble, because it was just easier not to have to deal with that. It's one of the reasons I love this Fanatic Edge Maverick, because it has that acid wash. I don't have to really worry about rusting. It's one of the reasons why I picked the full DLC Sangre to keep. It's becoming more of a thing. It's one of the reasons I'm starting to prefer stone washes and wanting those on my own products, because I don't want to have people have issues with rust. So anyway, a bead blast can make it where it's more porous, I guess, and moisture can get in. And they usually bead blast the inside of your deployment hole, so always check that area. The insides of jimps or along the spine is usually bead blasted, and then fullers like that. Now, the backspacer, yeah, it's bead blasted, but it's titanium. Titanium doesn't rust. You don't have to worry about that. I don't usually have issues with things like collars and screws, where a lot of times they could be just titanium, but for some reason they don't tend to rust. Maybe they get wiped more, or they're covered in a different area. I don't know. But I like to use KPL knife shield on items like this, so I will show you exactly what I do. I've shown this before, but I might as well, since we're talking about this knife. Maybe you have this knife and you're worried about rust. Again, this is M390 steel. Really, a lot of people would argue that should not be rusting, but I think it's a me thing. Anyway, I try to wipe my blades down after I carry them, but I also like to do this once a week or so. Don't want to do that there. You just spray on the KPL knife shield. Now, I like to take it a little bit with my finger, and I'll rub it into the deployment hole and stuff, because I want to make sure I get those areas, which actually reminds me, let me wrap this back up. Be careful with the blade, guys. I wanted to spray in the hole, and I wanted to spray along that jimping, and then again, you want to rub some into the spine. Now, you don't have to rub this in. That's not like part of the process, but I'm doing it just because it's kind of how I roll, and because I was already rubbing in other areas. So then I unwrap it, and I wrap the handle so that I didn't spray it all up in the handle and get it into the pivot area. So you see that? I just wiped it off. I'll get into the fuller and wipe that off. I'll try to get into the jimps and wipe that off, the spine. Just give it a nice wipe down. And if you had tape gunk or anything on it, that will now be gone as well. And then I just inspect, make sure there's no you know, no KPL knife shield all up in the knife or anything. And that's pretty much it. You don't want to go wiping the whole knife like 10,000 times after. You don't want to get alcohol on it. You don't want to like wipe it down with alcohol after you did that, because I'm pretty sure that'll just wipe it off. For the most part, it leaves, like, I wasn't even paying attention to what I was doing there. You can see a couple streaks, but you could just wipe that off if you want. But I think it leaves a good looking finish. Usually with satin, it looks pretty good. Like, here's my mini J-cape. I had put some on before, and you can see I have carried it since, but you can see it. The finish doesn't look all stupid or anything. So I love KPL Knife Shield. Not only does it get the gunk off, but it will protect your knife from, I don't know if I got it in here though. Protect your knife from rust. So I like to do that. And I do it pretty often. Is that necessary? I don't know. There's not like long-term usage testing on this stuff. And I tend to rust knives. So I just am being careful. So I did get a little rust in there, but I used a rust eraser, which quite literally is an eraser. KPL actually sells these, knifepivotlube.com. And again, if you want to pick up Knife Shield, you guys can use my code LeftyEDC at KPL, knifepivotlube.com. It's always in the description of my videos. But they sell these, and you literally just, it's just like pencil. You erase the rust, and it comes right out. And then I make sure to protect it again with Knife Shield or whatever. You can also use Flitz polish. I have a whole video on this. There's all different items you can use. Flitz polish, you can get this on Amazon. You can get other rust erasers there too. KPL sells this stuff as well, which is similar to Flitz. It's a metal polish or whatever. So you just literally put a little bit on and wipe it off. I like the eraser better. It just seems less chemical, like you're just erasing it, and then I use alcohol after or whatever, and then Knife Shield, which is food safe. So that's one thing to note, is I did get rust on there, but I will say as of late, my right-handed knives are being carried in my back left pocket, and it gets sweaty in there. Like, I sometimes take the knives out, like, was that this video or a different one where I took this out and put it up on my desk because it was probably getting soaked in my back pocket. I'm just a sweaty dude. It's a hot ass, like, it's the summer, you know. So it is what it is. It's probably more me than the knife, but I just wanted to point it out. Other things to note about the gripper 32 minutes in. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I highly recommend it. I think it's a knife that, if you're into the aesthetic, you should try. You should get. I know a lot of people are going to compare it to the Nimble X and probably the Nimble W. Now, I don't have the W, and I probably will show them side by side because I think it does compare more to the W, I guess. It's just the W is a little bit smaller. I've had multiple Nimble X's, and I love the Nimble. If you made me choose between the Nimble regular and the this, I would take the Nimble just because of size, and I just love the Nimble, right? But if I had to choose between the Nimble X and the gripper, I would go with the gripper. There's just something about this knife, and that's how I feel about the OG, the regular Nimble. There's something about this knife that makes it incredible. It's just such a good knife, right? And that's kind of how I feel about the gripper. There's just something about it that makes me personally happy, and that's really all I can say. The action, you know, the leftability of this knife, the fact that it's a frame lock, does not have a weak detent and still works so well left-handed. And then on top of all of that, it has the blade shape for me, right? It has that Wharncliffe blade for my sort of tasks. And the real downsides to the knife for me are really just the tactical nature of it. The aesthetic nature is not necessarily my bag, but it's grown on me. And it's like the Nimble, I think, for a lot of people, where it's just so good that they can overlook the fact that maybe they don't think it's a good looking knife, even though, again, I think that's a great looking knife. So I know I keep comparing it to the Nimble, and I think Jason would be the first to tell you that makes sense. He definitely took inspiration from the Nimble to the point where he actually asked John from EMP if he was cool with how he had this all set up, and gave him credit and everything, saying he got inspired by him. So it's out there, right? So I think it is a fair comparison, but I do think at the same time the Grant Gripper stands on its own. The Grant Gripper is a unique and fantastic design, and I want Jason to get that credit, right? So born in Hawaii on a vacation, where Jason decided to draw his perfect knife, to my table right now, the Gay Gripper Bro Gripper is a wonderful knife. I love it. I absolutely love this knife. And what's cool to me about it is I did not expect to. That's kind of why I'm so, like, you know, ecstatic about it, and why I'm so, like, you know, I want to tell you all about it, right? Is because I did not really expect to be this enamored with this knife, but I am. So anyway, Jason, if you're watching this, please give me a 3 1/4 inch version of this knife. Please give me a 3 1/4 inch version. I would absolutely appreciate that and love you for it. And thank you again for going out of your way to make the GGB and for hooking it up with number 22. You will forever be a brother. And Bestech killed it. Absolutely did a fantastic job. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments about the Brass Brigade Gripper. I believe there is going to be another drop of these coming up, or possibly happening right before this video. I don't know. If he does plan one, I'll try to maybe move this video up if it's before I have it scheduled. You guys know I'm always 10, 12 days ahead. I highly recommend you get one. Try it, see what you think. I will say it does need a break-in. That's one thing I probably should have noted. When I got it, it had that sort of, you know, a little bit of a gritty feel I was talking about. And it's just like the Jaegers, guys. Just like, you know, all of the knives that have these beautiful satin grinds, right? They have these vertical satins on the flats, horizontal on the bevel. They just need a break-in because that detent ball has to wear through, right? All you need to do is put a little bit of KPL heavy on the detent ball and then open and close the knife. Put a little pressure right there, open and close, open and close, open and close. Just do that. Don't actually close it or open it like this. Just ride that detent path. And you can feel it wear in. And that KPL heavy is doing its job right now. And the more you do that, the better. The more you carry it, the more you use it, the better. And you can see the action on this thing with a fucking snappy-ass detent is fantastic. So I also put in bearings. These are 6mm 1/16 single row skiffs. I think that's linked in the video I did of that. So if you're interested, go check it out. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. I absolutely love this knife, and I absolutely love you guys. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.